means a lot, especially at such a time as this that has been such a challenge to us all. Almighty God, our Father, from whom we come, and unto whom our spirits return,
You fill
you have
up
been
my
our dwelling place in all generations. You are our refuge
like a
and
night.
strength, a very present help in trouble. Grant us your blessing this hour, and enable us to put our trust in you, that our spirits may grow calm and our hearts be comforted. Lift our eyes beyond the shadows of earth and help us to see the light of eternity, so that we may find grace and strength for this and every time of need. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Never did learn to play the organ. This is a whole lot lighter. And this song speaks about that promise, about going home when our time here is done. Going home, I'm just going home, quiet like some still day, I am going home. It's not far, just close by, through an open door, work all done, care laid by, never fear no more. Mother's there expecting me, father's waiting too. Lots of faces gathered there, all the friends I knew. I'm just going home, no more fear, no more pain, no more stumbling by the way, no more longing for the day, going to run no more. Morning star lights the way, restless dreams all gone, shadows gone, break of day, real life has begun. I'm just going home. There's no break, there's no end, just a living on, wide awake with a smile, going on and going on, going on and on, going home, going home, I am going home. Shadows gone, break of Services such as these are important to us because they bring us a place to come with our grief, with our questions, with our stories. And ideally today, we'll be able to paint a picture for you. You can see the amazing men that we honor today. And to begin that appropriately, the one who knew him best, Patty Varga. Patty, would you come?
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today as we remember the life of a remarkable man, my husband Zsolt. He was so many things to so many people. He was a father, a son, a brother, an uncle, colleague, neighbor, and friend. How does one begin to describe the man that he was? Many of you would agree that he was one of a kind. There was no one like him. I knew this to be true from the moment that we met. As many of you know, Zsolt was born and raised in Lethbridge. When he was growing up, his family spent a lot of time in the mountains. Living in such close proximity, he developed a passion for camping and fishing at an early age. This continued throughout his whole life. He loved taking his boat on the water. He loved ice fishing. He enjoyed traveling, especially to Vancouver Island. He had many hobbies, which included playing hockey and mechanics, and most recently 3D printing. His mind was always moving, and he loved problem solving. He loved having discussions with people about any topic and could often leave you guessing exactly what he was thinking. Zsolt loved all types of music and could easily play many instruments by ear. He was fun to have around because he would go back and forth from the drums to the guitar, the piano, and the bass guitar. He loved impromptu jam sessions and would never turn down an opportunity to play. He especially enjoyed playing with the worship teams at church. After many services, he would seat himself at the drums or find a guitar and continue to play with the team long after the service was over. Whenever we would hear a new song that we liked, we would always try and learn it together. He thought that all music was a gift to be played, listened to, and experienced. That love of music is where it all started, I guess you could say. We met at a concert at the college nearly 25 years ago. It was for the Canadian band The Watchmen. I was with my friends near the front by the stage, and I was knocked over by another concert goer, which he saw, quickly came over and helped me up off of the floor. I remember looking up, and there he was, holding his hand out to me. I was immediately struck by his kind eyes, handsome face, and fun-loving nature. It would seem that we were by one another's side ever since. We were able to attend many live music shows together, not only as a couple, but together as a whole family. When he asked me to be his wife, I didn't hesitate. I knew he was the one. He was my best friend, my love. We married in the spring of 1997. I might be biased, but I have to say it was the most fun wedding I'd ever been to. Some of you might remember at the reception that my dad, in his welcome to the family speech, asked Zsolt, or rather he told him, that he had to play a piece on the piano. It was a condition, you see. With absolutely no trepidation, he went straight over to the piano and proudly played Great Balls of Fire. I think we were all won over. When we were blessed with our children, Jenna and Brendan, he couldn't have been more happy. He was such a proud father. He was always teaching the kids new things and encouraging them to be self-sufficient. As they grew up, he was the fun dad. Many a Nerf war was had at our house with kids from the neighborhood. He would hide on the mall with his Nerf gun and suddenly ambush them all, much to their delight. He literally was just a big kid himself. He loved taking the kids on many adventures. Later on in their teenage years, he would help get them set up with jam sessions or teach them and their friends to work on their vehicles. Zsolt and Brendan had a few car projects together, including the latest, where they switched a car from an automatic to a manual transmission. He was also so very proud of Jenna when she wrote her own screenplay and was able to present it as the final drama production when she was in grade 12. Zsolt had a career in EMS that lasted over 20 years. He was always willing to be a mentor and preceptor and took on many students. He was a strong advocate for patients and believed in encouraging his colleagues in the profession. He would often remind his students to keep furthering their education. He was a patient teacher. This extended to our family as well. He loved explaining how things worked. Sometimes I would question him whether I would actually need the information he was trying to relay to me. Admittedly, though, I have learned so much from him. He had a way of reminding you of how capable you were. He often explained this to Jenna, Brendan, and myself. I would say that even now, his encouragement stays with me. I often think of what he would do in certain circumstances, or what would he say, or how would he remind me that I can do it. I have realized that would actually make him so proud is to use the knowledge that I have and make the decision for myself. And it's amazing how many of you have shared similar sentiments. Zsolt had a jovial sense of humor and was always quick with a well-placed remark. He loved to laugh and tell jokes, had a way of making his presence known. He had such a cheerful hello. It is something that I really miss, hearing him come through the door saying, "Hello, love." Admittedly, there were times when he wasn't cheerful. One such occasion was when I had to explain how I accidentally ran over his fly fishing rod. I opened the overhead garage door to drive the car out, and it was a very windy day. As I started to drive, I heard a horrible crunching sound under the tires. I got out of the car and realized the wind had blown his fly fishing case down from the shelf by the door. It became clear to me that something very terrible had just happened. I was hopeful that the hard case would protect the rod inside, but it did not. It had snapped right through. I had to come up with a way to break the news that I had inadvertently destroyed one of his favorite things. When he came home later that evening, I was trying to figure out how to tell him what had happened. I thought it might help if I reminded him of when he crashed into my car when we were dating. He said, "Yeah, why?" And I reminded him that I wasn't angry with him because it was an accident, remember? Anyway, I think he was quickly figuring out that I had something to tell him. When he heard the news, he sat quietly and finally said, "Well, I guess it's time to find a new fishing rod." But I think he was actually at a loss for words. When we did go shopping for a replacement, he made sure to tell the salesperson the whole story of the fishing rod's demise. These are only a few of the stories that I could tell. I have enjoyed sharing them as well as hearing many from you. And this is how I know that he lives on in all of us, through our memories. There will be no shortage of stories about Zsolt. His legacy will live on. He will be remembered in the quiet times around the campfire, around the dinner table, at the hood of a car that needs repair, at the hockey rink, over a cup of coffee, and in the back of an ambulance. These are just some examples that I hold dear. I know that you have many more, and that is exactly what he would love, the storytelling, the laughter, the gathering, the singing, and the playing of music together. I am thankful through all of this that he had such a full life. And while I know that I am not able to spend the rest of my life with him, I am so thankful that we were able to be with him for the rest of his. I would like to leave you now with the words of a poem by Donna Ashworth. If I ever have to leave you, love, please know I didn't choose it. You were my every waking thought. My world, I wouldn't lose it. If I ever have to leave you, love, don't think I didn't fight it. If I had any choice at all, we would never be divided. If I ever have to leave you, love, I truly rue the day. I always thought I'd be with you, beside you come what may. If I ever have to leave you, love, please know I'm always there, that somehow I will find a way to show you how I care. If I ever have to leave you, love, the one thing you must know is that you meant the world to me and I didn't want to go. If I ever have to leave you, love, you'll always have my heart. Never fear, my love is here, even when apart. If I ever have to leave you, love, try and hear my laughter and see my smile once in a while. Let it live with you hereafter.
A man couldn't ask for anything more than that. Patty, well done. The music today that you hear will be selections that Zsolt really enjoyed. And Joseph Moradel has a song that he's going to bring now, Who You Say I Am.
I am who you say say I am. I am who you say I am. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am.
I'd like to invite Brendan Varga to come now and bring his tribute. I will be reading Jenna's for her.
To be the son of Zsolt George Varga is the greatest honor I could have ever asked for. I'm so proud that I could call him my friend, mentor, teacher, father. He was a very honest and grateful man. He cared so much about his family and would do anything to make sure we were always okay. He always found ways to educate and motivate me to get through high school, expand my knowledge with music and automotives. Every day spent with him was a new important life lesson on how to cook, change a tire, or maybe not to leave my dirty dishes or tools laying around. I honestly couldn't have gotten this far in my life without him, let alone getting through high school. He was always bugging me to get through my online courses. Every day I'd wake up and grab my cup of coffee, and first thing I'd always hear is, so when are you doing your school today? And I'd sigh and be like, and after I have my coffee, and then I'd procrastinate for an hour, and then he'd come down and again, so when are you getting your school done today? And this probably went on multiple times a day, I don't know, but I don't think I could have graduated without him really pushing me to get through. And one of my most cherished memories with Dad is actually going to the Iron Maiden concert last year. I'm sure most of you know his love for music, and whether it be bluegrass or heavy metal at sometimes. And we went to the Iron Maiden concert, and he was giving me trouble the whole time because I was sitting for most of the concert, and ever since then, he never really stopped bothering me about that. It was, of course I stood during the encore, but I don't know, I really miss spending days like that with my dad. Whether it be underneath my car, his truck, having a jam session in the basement, or learning a new song with him on the drums or bass. I honestly will be forever and always thankful for the time that I had with him. I have many stories that, I'll be up here for a while if I go through all of them, but I cherish every moment and every story and just every second I got to spend with him. Thank you for everything you've taught me. I miss you so much. I love you, Dad.
Your dad would be proud, Brendan. From Jenna. I want to thank everyone who came today for honoring my dad, especially the ones who were there on the day that he passed. You answered a call that you never should have to, but every one of you did your best, just like you do every day. It's very hard to find a place to start with my dad. I'm struggling to find the words to describe what the past few months have been like and to do justice to the man who raised me. He was a great man, and to condense a man's life into a few words is difficult. Dad was my hero from as far back as I can remember. To lose my hero has been the hardest experience of my whole life. I see cool cars on the street and want to take a picture to show him later. I think about funny stories from work and wish I could tell him and make him laugh. I'm not as great a storyteller as Dad was, but he would still get a kick out of my experiences. I see music he would like and think about how I want to send it to him. I miss walking up to the house and hearing him blasting his music and singing. Having lost someone who has been there my whole life has been so very hard, and I constantly have to remind myself that Dad's not here. I have many good memories of my dad. One of the most comforting things we had is the memories, and most of them were funny. Dad had an unmatched sense of humor, and although he wasn't thrilled about it, I'm sure he secretly enjoyed coming to rescue me when my car's battery died after I left my keys in the ignition for an hour. He once had to come and get me after my car broke down on the highway in between Tabor and Coaldale. It was 1 a.m., and he literally tied my car to his truck and towed it back to Coaldale with his flashes on. He wouldn't leave me alone about it for a long time and brought it up to embarrass me. I would always have weird noises coming from my car, and then I would tell Dad about it. And when he looked at it, it would stop making that noise. We had a deal that if he needed to fix my car, I would buy the parts. Once jokingly, I asked him if there were any fees for his services, and he enthusiastically said, "Family discount." I asked him, "What does that mean?" He said, "I work for food." So on top of buying the parts, I would buy Dad lunch. I still owe him a few trips to Subway. As many of you know, Dad loved to fish. He could literally fish all day, and he was always looking for new places to explore with his boat. Sometimes Dad would take Brendan and I fishing, and when I was about 15, Dad decided to give ice fishing a try. He bought a hand drill, and we suited up in snow pants and snowshoes. The first time he went, he brought us to the lake in the middle of nowhere. It was minus 20 with the wind, and the lake was large with no tree cover. We didn't have a fishing shelter, and it took us forever to drill a hole in the ice. Of course, Dad wanted to stay until we caught something. Brendan and I were literally icicles before he decided to call it a day and head back to the truck. I never wanted to go ice fishing again, and we didn't ever catch anything. But Dad saw it was a success, of course, and was making fun of Brendan and I the whole day and wanting us to call it quits. Another time that stands out, he was once again when Dad, Brennan, and I were fishing on the boat in the Crow's Nest Pass. After a bit, we saw some clouds rolling in, and we heard thunder. And I said, Dad, shouldn't we get off the lake? There's lightning. He said, we've got some time, just a few more minutes. After a few minutes passed and the thunder got louder, we could see the lightning over the mountain. We started getting nervous and begged Dad to turn around and head back to shore. Just a few more minutes was all he said. We finally did turn around when it started raining, and I'm sure we weren't really in any danger. But in my teenage brain, it didn't seem like a good idea. They were just a few many adventures. Those were just a few many adventures that I had with Dad. I wouldn't trade any of them for the world. My dad taught me many things. He taught me how to change a tire, to do an oil change, and to patch a flat. He taught me how to mow the lawn when I was strong enough to push the mower. He taught me how to drive, and I remember once while driving with him, he whipped his arm across my face and pointed out the window and yelled, "Distraction!" It scared me, but I was able to drive. He taught me to focus. It wasn't just practical things he taught me. I haven't pre-read this, so it's funny to me too. He also shared with me his loves of science and history. When Brennan and I were kids, he would read us books about history, like about Napoleon, and he once read us 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea as a bedtime story. When I started taking history, he was thrilled. Dad was a jack of all trades and always had things to share about many topics. He also had faith in me. I didn't always have faith in myself, but he always believed I could do whatever I wanted to if I put my mind to it. When I performed my one-act play, Aid Station, he was taking pictures the whole time. And even though I processed it, he showed the video to all of his coworkers. He wouldn't admit it, but Dad was a massive nerd. He loved classic sci-fi like Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica. He always enthusiastically went to the Star Wars movies. He once told me that he saw the original Star Wars 4 times in the theater. He could quote his favorite movies from memory. And when I was about 14, Dad decided we were old enough to watch Lord of the Rings, even though Mom didn't think so. So whenever she was gone, we would watch it together in secret and shut it off when she got home. Right. Dad loved airplanes and always had many books about them. And he had pictures of cool planes in his phone. He took me to the airport many times to watch the planes and the air show. And we would sit on the grass by the runway and eat the sweet tips of grass while watching the crop dusters and small recreational planes. I still can't console myself to the idea that he's not here anymore. Dad was a constant, immovable center of my life, as anyone's parent would be. Children outlive their parents. That's a fact of life. We all know that one day we'll have to lay our parents to rest. But it's not supposed to be like this. Dad didn't get to retire. He didn't get to see Brendan graduate. He won't be there to walk me down the aisle when I get married. He will never meet his grandchildren. That's not how it's supposed to be. It's unfair. And I'm finding it hard to reconcile myself. Of course, Dad will be with us in a different way, but not the way we want him to be. One day I will see him again. Until then, I will continue to celebrate him. I will share stories about him. His grandchildren will know what a great man he was, that he was a fantastic father and husband. I am forever grateful for the time I had with him, even though it was short. I can't say I will make him proud, because he was already proud of us and made sure that we knew it. I'll see you on the other side one day, Dad. I love you. That's amazing, Jenna. Thank you. Who would people say that you are? Tributes like this give us more of the picture each time. And now we have some more speakers, colleagues, and leadership from Alberta Health Services. And I would like you, I wasn't sure of the order for you gentlemen. We have Jeff Slingerland, Rick Yanko, and Darren Sandback. And I will let you choose the order, or I could choose it for you. I think Jeff first.
Zsolt Varga, husband, father, son, brother, uncle, mentor, co-worker, partner, friend. Zsolt wore many hats in his 46 years, from Northside rebel to respected paramedic, from tire changer to electronics guru. I've had the honor and privilege of being Zsolt's EMS partner for over 8 years, but have known him since the fall of 2004. He was working in Coaldale, and I happened to be partnered with him on my first ever EMS shift. He was this very confident, outspoken practitioner, and I was a very shy, nervous EMT. I will never forget that first call. We were sent to an older lady who, unbeknownst to me, was a frequent user of EMS. Zsolt was driving. I was sitting in the passenger seat. We pulled up in front of the house, and he turned to me and said, "You got this. I'll be here if you need anything." My excitement of a first call turned to sheer terror. "What do you mean, I've got this and you'll be here? Don't we do calls together?" He gave me an evil smile and said, "That's right, you help her, I'll watch the truck." I've dealt with her 3 times already this week. Turns out that every time her husband left to go fishing or run errands, she needed her blanket readjusted or her pillow fluffed. Given our shift schedule, it seemed like I spent almost as much time with him as I did my own family. Not only did we put up with each other at work, we were also friends outside of work. We were constantly sharing pictures of projects we were working on, asking each other questions to solve our current troubleshooting dilemmas, sending pictures of our latest adventures on days off. Just a few weeks before he passed away, I got a text at about 7:30 in the morning. We were off shift at 7. It was a picture of his truck, very stuck in the river bottom, and the words, "What are you doing?" I knew what he wanted. He didn't want to worry Patty, so he texted me. This is how we rolled. There was more than an occasional text or phone call asking if the other happened to have a random part or tool. One of Zsolt's acquaintances shared a song with the words, "Everything I own comes a little bit broke." This very quickly became our theme song. It seemed he was always fixing something. He had a passion for automotive electronics, and many people sought him out for advice or to troubleshoot the gremlins in their vehicles. He loved it. The more complicated, the better. He often spoke of how when he retired from EMS, he would spend his time troubleshooting for hire. At work, Zsolt was a proud paramedic. He loved teaching and pushing other staff to be better. It was no secret that he thought EMTs were a waste. He thought everyone who worked on an ambulance should be a paramedic. One of his first questions when he met an EMT was, "When do you start medic school?" And unless the EMT could give him a date, Zsolt would be on their case and wouldn't let up until they were signed up for school. There are a lot of paramedics running around the province who owe their 50 number to him. We will never know if it's because they really wanted to become a paramedic or just to get him off their back. Zsolt was always up for a student to precept or a new employee to mentor and enjoyed sharing his knowledge and passion with them. Zsolt loved food. I don't think anything upset him more than having a meal interrupted. Our first shift always involved breakfast at either Franco's or the golf course. Brunch was always a highlight. I have never met, and probably never will again, someone who ate their French toast with ketchup and bacon or ham, although rumor has it that Brendan has picked up a few of his dad's traits. Honestly, I don't think I've ever met anyone who has eaten as much ketchup as him either. He loved to tell a story of when he was a kid. The restaurant owner next to his mom's shop told her that he wasn't welcome in the restaurant unless he brought his own ketchup. He was eating up all his profits. Another favorite place was Jimmy's in Calgary. For almost 8 years, every time we went to Calgary for a transfer and Jimmy's was open, we would stop. Well, almost every time. We didn't stop one time because we had had a late breakfast and neither of us was very hungry. It was a decision we would soon regret. Dispatch saw a truck in Calgary that wasn't tasked with anything, and we got flogged. Many hours later, we called Rick to please get us out of the city. Now it was late, we were hungry, and Jimmy's was closed. We had to settle for a burger. Lesson learned, from that time forward, we would stop at Jimmy's. Zsolt was one of a kind guy. He had many talents, from music to mechanics, from troubleshooting and fixing almost anything to designing things to make his life easier. He could talk for hours on end about almost anything. Trust me, I've spent hundreds of hours listening to him talk about everything from a fourth dimension to plastic, from the galaxy to batteries, from 3D printing to electronics. I didn't need Google, I just had to ask Zsolt. He loved camping and fishing. One of his last text messages that I have on my phone was actually him texting me if I could fly over Keogh and see if the ice had broken up enough for him to put his boat out. He loved hockey, both watching and playing. He was passionate about the hockey pool he ran every season. He loved playing music and would often bring his guitar to work. He spent hours playing and singing, much to the delight of both urgent care patients and staff. If we were flexed somewhere, he would pull out the stair chair and set up shop beside the ambulance. He loved his trips to the island with his family and would spend hours showing me pictures and talking about the trips he took. Not a day goes by that his name doesn't come up in conversation. Not a day goes by that I don't wish I could ask him a question or share a project with him. There are so many memories and stories. He'll be missed more than words can ever describe. Patty, Jenna, and Brendan, I know you've heard this hundreds of times over the past few months, but I'm going to tell you again. If there's anything we can do to help in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out. EMS is a family, a dysfunctional family, but still a family. We're here for you. Zolt's passing has left a huge void in EMS in general, but the Coaldale crews especially. His legacy will live on through the many students he taught, people he worked with, patients he treated, friends he made. He will not be forgotten. Farewell, my brother, my friend.
Thanks, Jeff. And now, Rick Yanko, would you come?
Excuse me, I'll have to take this off because if I don't, my glasses will fog up and I won't be able to read when I chicken scratch here. First of all, Patty, thank you very much for asking me to talk today. It's been a kind of interesting. I was trying to write this speech. I actually started about a week ago, and people that know me know that I normally don't do anything until it's like the last 10 minutes. So Of course, today I was redoing it out in the parking lot just before the service. So I apologize if I'm a little bit all over the place, because I have some stuff, and now that everybody else has talked, you've heard most of my stories. But again, thank you guys for allowing me to say this. So first of all, when I was writing this the other day, I went through my speech here and stuff. I came across kind of a prayer or a poem, and I wanted to add it to the end. But as I read it and thought about it and that, I want to read it at the start, because this is what Zsolt is. The whole prayer, the whole poem is exactly who Zsolt was, at least to me in the context that I knew. So this is called an EMS prayer. It says, "As I perform my duty, Lord, whatever be the call, help to guide and keep me safe from dangers big and small. I want to serve and do my best, no matter what the scene. I pledge to keep my skills refined, my judgment quick and keen. This calling to give of myself, most do not understand, but I stand ready all the time to help my fellow man. To have the chance to help a child, restore his laugh with glee. A word of thanks I might not hear, but knowing is enough for me. The praise of men is fine for some, but I feel truly blessed that you, O Lord, have chosen me to serve in EMS." So, in that poem, it just talks about Zsolt as who he was. He was a man who had strong ties to EMS. Everything he did was for the betterment of the patient, the organization, or his crew. The only downfall that Zsolt had is, that everybody knows, that sometimes he wasn't very diplomatic. And there was maybe more turns than I would have a young staff member, either a casual employee or something, who would come up to me and talk to me because Zsolt had hurt their feelings. And so I would sit there and I would listen to their stories, and we would talk about it. And at the end of the thing, my advice to all these people was, if you learn to listen to Zsolt, your hurt feelings wouldn't get hurt. Because all Zsolt was ever trying to do was make everybody a better practitioner for the patient. That's what he cared about. He cared about the patient when he was at work. He cared about his family when he was at home. I first met Zsolt back in about 2000, I thought it was 2012, but after lunch today I found it was a little earlier, about 2010. I came down, I was working in the High River area, and I had applied for a job in the Crow's Pass. For some reason, Zsolt and Jeff, and I think maybe Kelly and some of the other people from Coaldale were elected to interview me, and that was a process that I don't know if they found amusing, because we all came in t-shirts and flip-flops, and it was kind of one of those casual things way back then. But I often asked Zsolt afterwards if he ever had regretted his decision about hiring me. He never did give me a straight answer to that one, but Zsolt and I became really good friends, more so just through work, and it was all about fishing. If he wasn't phoning to rat on the police in Lethbridge because they were parked in one of the ambulance parking spots, which was his big pet peeve, he'd call to find out if we'd been fishing, if we'd done this and done that. And we'd actually had been able to get out on the river and have a few laughs and a few beers one day a couple years ago. But Zsolt, that's what he was about. He was about fishing. He was about his family first, and then he was about his patients. And just saying that, you can know that he can be proud of him for his work ethic and that, and everything he did was for betterment of his family, his patients, and his crew.
And now, from our Chief Paramedic, Darren Sandback. Darren, would you come?
Good afternoon. Thank you for the privilege to speak with you today. I first want to offer condolences on behalf of Alberta Health Services and Alberta Health Services EMS in particular, to Patty, Jenna, and Brendan, Zolt's mother, Magda, as well as to Zolt's partner, Jeff, and to all of our EMS family members who have felt the weight of Zolt's passing. It takes a certain kind of person to be a paramedic. If we ask them, folks outside this room would likely say you need medical knowledge, of course, you need to be physically able, and you likely need to know how to drive. But folks in this room will know there's much more to paramedicine than driving fast. You need to be mentally strong. You need to be calm in the face of crisis. You need to care deeply about people and patients. And you need to be the type of person who runs toward danger, uncertainty, and trauma, not away from it. While I did not get the chance to know Zsolt personally, and based on everything I've learned and heard, that is my loss, I've had the opportunity to talk to plenty of people who did know him. And what I can say without doubt is that Zsolt Varga was that kind of paramedic. Our profession is poorer for Zsolt's loss. I'm told by those who spent a lot of time with him that Zsolt loved his work, and we've heard that today. And he took it very seriously, but had a wonderful sense of humor and was all about a good laugh. I actually should have added that into my list of traits of being a great paramedic, because sometimes we know that if you don't laugh, you'll cry. I know his good-natured spirit, his wit, and his zest for life have left a hole in our Coaldale station and in our EMS profession. We've heard others talk about Zsolt as an advocate for the paramedic profession and a strong mentor for students and new recruits. Zsolt often advocated for paramedic career advancement, as we've heard among his colleagues, encouraging many PCPs to upgrade their skills to become an ACP, believing this strengthened the profession and benefited patients. He was right. But more than just making advancement about moving up the pay scale, Zsolt was passionate about paramedics improving our skills and our trade for one reason: it was better for patients. If there's one thing that sticks out for me about everything that I've learned and heard about Zsolt over the past several months, is that he was a fierce advocate for improving patient care, safety, and their well-being. Zsolt got into this profession because he wanted to help people and to make them feel safe, secure, and cared for. Similarly, Zsolt was also focused on his fellow paramedics, championing their concerns and making a substantial impact as site representative for workplace health and safety in Coaldale. In fact, I'm told, as Rick just mentioned, that Zsolt was known to send texts to some of our leadership, which Rick identified himself, if, for example, he found a police car parked in an ambulance spot. Having people like Zsolt as part of the AHS EMS family inspires us all to be better paramedics, better colleagues, and even better leaders. Paramedicine at its core is a job about giving and giving up. We must give up sleep to work the night shift for patients who need us. We must give up weekends and time away from our friends and families to serve. Often it also means giving up special events, birthdays, and anniversaries. But most of us are here not for what we give up, but for what we get to give. We get to give life-saving care to Albertans from all walks of life every day. We get to be the calm face of reassurance for an elderly person fearful of what their heart might or might not do. We give urgent medical care to a mother and ensure their children aren't afraid. We give reassurance to a teenager that the IV isn't going to hurt that much, but explain why it's important. Often we get to be the first face that someone sees when they regain consciousness from a serious medical event and help them through those first confusing and frightening minutes. That was Zsolt's mindset about his job. Zsolt gave himself to his job, and for that we are forever grateful. Right now, it's those of us in this room that need giving. Watch out for each other. Take care of each other. Ask your colleagues how they're doing, and let them know it's okay not to be okay. That's how we take the lessons that Zsolt taught us and carry them forward into the future.
Thank you, Darren. Patty and her sister have created a slideshow. We want to present that to you now.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos and memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
For a moment, caught in between 10 and 20, and I'm just dreaming, counting the ways to where you are. I'm 22 for a moment, and she feels better than ever, and we're on fire, making our way back from Mars. When you only got 100 years to live. I'm 33 for a moment. I'm still the man, but you see I'm there, a kid on the way, babe, a family on my mind. For a moment, the sea is high and I'm to live. Half time goes by, suddenly you're wise. Another blink of an eye, 67 is gone, the sun is getting high. We're moving on. I'm 99 for a moment, I'm dying for just another moment, and I'm just dreaming, counting the ways to where you are. 15, there's still time for you. 22, I feel her too. 33, you're on your way. Every day's a new day.
I was videoing you. Really? Yeah. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy. Don't ever play with ambulances. Well, I picked up a man in Reno, tried to clean the song up, to watch him ride. And he heard that siren wailing. I took him down to San Antonio. But they freed me from this work schedule. I'm gonna put her to sleep is what I'm gonna do.
That's right. I like complaining closing.
Hey, where do we go? In the misty morning fall, hearts thumping, my blue-eyed girl. You, my brown-eyed girl. Name the tune.
Zolt's faith was very important to him, and he had certain scriptures that meant a lot to him, but one in particular. But those who trust in the Lord will find new strength. They will soar high on wings like eagles. They will run and not go weary, and they will walk and not faint. It refers to a strength that is there when we run out of all of our own. Because we know in our profession, oftentimes you get to that place in the day where there's just nothing left in the tank. And for Zsolt, he found strength. Not just for work, but for all things within the context of his faith. You've heard many people talk about the integrity that marked his life, the way he lived. Not to stand out, not to look better or stronger or different in that way, but to walk in that kind of integrity. In 1910, Rudyard Kipling wrote this poem for his son, John. And it speaks about these things. For some of you, it would be familiar. Maybe for some of you, this is the first time. The words, the language are a little bit older, but the meaning is the same. It's called If. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting too. If you can wait, but not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream, but not make dreams your master, if you can think, but not make thoughts your aim. If you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same. If you can bear to hear the words you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you've given your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it all, on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch. If neither foes or loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more. You'll be a man, my son. There's really something in there for all of us when we hear those words. Being able to give your word and keep it. Being able to come alongside somebody who's in crisis and help them. Being able to build friendships that are long and lasting. Being able to teach life lessons to your children and have them remember them and walk in the kind of strength that you've given them and that guidance. To be the man that others trust. The one we remember here today. The way he lived. The consistency that he brought to it. Zsolt was that guy that you're in the hallway having a conversation with outside DI at Chinook Hospital, and you're saying, Zsolt, come on, don't hold back, tell us how you really feel. Said nobody ever. His opinions were strong, but he didn't flatten you with them. He shared them powerfully. And yeah, I'm sure he made a couple of his students kind of a little bit timid at times, but he'd also turn right around and build them back up and find that foothold for them. He will be greatly missed. But the legacy that he leaves behind for us is a clear path to follow, and therein lies the blessing. Zsolt had a favorite hymn that I'm going to share with you. And it is one of those timeless ones again. The language might be a little older, but it speaks of that relationship that he had with his Lord and that he drew strength from. Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart, not be all else to me, save that thou art. Thou my best thought, by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my life. Be thou my wisdom, and thou my true word. I ever with thee, and thou with me, Lord. Thou my great Father, I thy true Son. Thou in me dwelling, and I with thee one. Riches I heed not, nor man's empty praise. Thou my inheritance, now and always. my victory won. May I reach heaven's joys, oh bright heaven's sun. Heart of my own heart, whatever befall, still be my vision, O ruler of all. Let us pray. Father, we thank you today for Zsolt Varga, for the difference he made for his family, for his friends, for his many colleagues, and for paramedicine in the province of Alberta. The kind of integrity that he walked in is inspiring to us. He reminds us to be bold. He reminds us to speak up. He reminds us to be consistent, to be thoughtful, to be courageous. We thank you, Lord, for his life and for the time we get to spend with him. I will continue with the Lord's Prayer. If it is your custom and your wish, I'd invite you to quietly say it along with me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And now a song by Joseph, Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
It's a privilege to sing at your father's funeral, and the impact he had in all of our lives. It's great to see. It's interesting that he found this song to be inspirational that my daughter and I play together, but he was much more of an inspiration to me as a musician and as a God-fearing man. Thank you for letting me do this. drops high above the chimney top. That's where you'll find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly.
I hope today has brought you some comfort. I hope that you leave here with more insight into the man who is Zsolt Varga. And I pray it's brought you some peace. And now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Thank you so much for being here. I'm now going to turn this over to our honor guard, your special tribute.